They instead can occupy all of a beautiful area with homes and safety, and they can live out their lives in peace and harmony instead of having to go back and do it again. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it.
Trump just said he would like the US to annex Gaza. This comes after his other executive actions to annex Greenland, Panama, and Canada. These imperialist ambitions destabilize the world order and bring us closer to a world war that China and Russia would use to reshape the global order. He also just gutted USAID, the US soft power program to counter Chinese and Russian influence, once again parroting the ideological subversion China and Russia want Americans to believe so that they can displace America as the world superpower. Trump may not think of himself as a useful idiot, and likely neither do his supporters, but Beijing and Moscow surely do, and his most recent moves fit their strategy perfectly. This isn't just about Gaza, it's about the systematic dismantling of America's global influence. But before we dive in, if you enjoy this video and want to support the channel, don't forget to click the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Your support means a lot, and it also helps promote these progressive messages to the YouTube algorithm, which helps its amplification to reach even more viewers at a critical time when the political parties of the right under Trump's leadership are trying to suppress their political opposition, like parties moving towards authoritarianism would do. So promoting political dissent is of critical importance in these times wherein Trump is attacking the freedom of speech and of the press that is enshrined in the First Amendment. Trump's gutting of USAID, the agency responsible for countering Chinese and Russian influence through humanitarian aid and development projects, set the stage for a shift in global power. USAID was crucial in providing economic support to countries vulnerable to Chinese debt traps and Russian disinformation campaigns. By kneecapping it, Trump weakened America's ability to compete with China's Belt and Road Initiative and Russia's strategic partnerships. Now let's talk about Gaza, Trump's most recently novel imperialist ambition. Trump's latest fantasy of annexing Gaza, forcing out Palestinians and taking over the land, which is tantamount to ethnic cleansing, ignores the catastrophic consequences. Without USAID's infrastructure to provide humanitarian relief and development assistance, any such attempt would be doomed to fail, leading to mass instability, but maybe that's the point. This mirrors his first term when he abandoned allies, emboldened adversaries, and let foreign autocrats dictate global events. In every instance, Trump's America First doctrine translated into America Isolated. He pulled out of international agreements, ignored alliances, and left geopolitical vacuums that China and Russia were more than happy to fill. Now, what happens if Trump goes through with this Gaza plan? The United States would be seen as an occupying force, further alienating its allies in the Middle East and across the world. China and Russia, meanwhile, get to play the part of the responsible global powers. Beijing, already deeply invested in Palestinian infrastructure and diplomatic efforts, would have an open lane to present itself as the real leader on the world stage. Moscow, which has long cultivated ties with anti-American factions, would use the chaos to strengthen its influence in the region. And America? It would be left isolated, burdened with a costly and destabilizing occupation, while China and Russia reap the geopolitical rewards. This isn't some grand conspiracy, it's just how ideological subversion works. Convince a leader that acting against his own country's interest is actually patriotic. Make him believe that dismantling the institutions that give America global power, like USAID, somehow makes it stronger. Guide him into costly foreign entanglements that exhaust American resources and credibility. And when the dust settles, America is weaker, China and Russia are stronger, and their ideological puppet never even realized he was dancing to their tune. But I think he does. Add on top of these imperial ambitions that bring us closer to World War, Trump's reversal on his TikTok ban, and his new push to make the US government a partial owner of the app, which plays directly into China's long-term geopolitical strategy, weakening America's standing once again. In 2020, Trump declared TikTok a national security threat, citing concerns over Chinese surveillance, data collection, and CCP influence through its parent company, ByteDance. Now, instead of enforcing the ban that he created, he is proposing that the US government take a financial stake in TikTok, completely contradicting his previous claim that the app is a dangerous foreign influence tool. This inconsistency signals weakness, showing China and other adversaries that US policies can be manipulated by political or financial interests, rather than being based on genuine security concerns. China still controls TikTok's algorithm and its data policies. No US ownership stake can change that. Even if Trump succeeds in forcing the US government to become a partial owner, ByteDance and the CCP still retain ultimate control. The US ends up legitimizing a Chinese tech company that it once labeled a security threat, while China maintains access to influence millions of young Americans through TikTok's recommendation system. The CCP can continue adjusting content subtly to shift narratives in ways that benefit China's geopolitical interests, while America it dilutes its own influence. Meanwhile, China does not allow American social media companies like Facebook or X, formerly known as Twitter, to operate freely in its country, reinforcing a one-sided power dynamic that Trump is now enabling. The original TikTok ban was part of a larger US strategy to push back against Chinese technological dominance. Forcing ByteDance to divest TikTok or face a full ban would have set a strong precedent that China cannot infiltrate US data networks unchecked. Instead, Trump's reversal turns a potential win into a loss. China now sees that US threats are not credible and can be reversed for political gain, emboldening Beijing to continue pushing economic and technological expansion without fearing real consequences. Other countries watching this unfold will begin questioning whether the US is serious about countering China's growing influence. This is not just about TikTok, it's about US tech leadership and whether America can effectively counter Chinese digital expansion. Instead of standing firm, Trump is playing into China's hands, signaling to other nations that the US cannot be trusted to follow through on its security policies. This is how ideological subversion works. Trump parrots Chinese and Russian interests sometimes unknowingly by making moves that cripple US strength while strengthening America's biggest adversaries. So when Trump proposes things like annexing Gaza after already gutting US aid and backtracking on his TikTok ban to allow the US government to take a stake in a Chinese-controlled platform, it's not just another far-right fantasy. It's a carefully crafted step toward the decline of American hegemony, a move that serves Beijing and Moscow far more than it serves any American citizen. And yet, he and his supporters will claim this is all about making America great again. But we know better. Stay vigilant, fellow freedom fighters.